My sister damaged my car before my dream job interview because she was jealous that I got the call and not her. Now she's demanding I pay for her therapy because our parents cut her off after finding out the truth. I, 26F, never thought I'd be writing a post like this, but I'm at my wit's end with my sister Amy, 24F, and desperately need advice on how to handle this nightmare of a situation. Writing this with shaking hands because I still can't believe how quickly my life turned upside down. This all started when I applied for my dream job at one of the biggest tech companies in our city. The position was exactly what I had been working towards for years: great benefits, amazing work culture, and the kind of salary that would finally let me move out of my tiny apartment. I was beyond excited when I got called for an interview, but that's when everything went downhill. You see, Amy had also applied for a position at the same company, different department, a few months ago, but didn't even get an interview. I didn't know this at the time because we're not particularly close, even though we live in the same city. Growing up, Amy's competitive nature went way beyond normal sibling rivalry. If I got an A on a test, she'd lock herself in her room, refuse to eat, and study obsessively until she got an A+. If I joined a club, she'd join the same one and work behind the scenes to get me pushed out of leadership positions. She even went as far as sabotaging my science fair project in 8th grade because she couldn't stand the thought of me winning first place. I still remember finding my project accidentally destroyed the night before judging, with Amy pretending to help me fix it while secretly enjoying my tears. Our parents tried everything: family therapy, separate schools, encouraging us to pursue different interests, but nothing seemed to work. They never played favorites. They genuinely wanted us both to be happy and successful in our own ways. They'd spend hours trying to help Amy understand that my success didn't diminish her worth, but she just couldn't, or wouldn't, get it. Every achievement of mine was somehow a personal attack on her. Every opportunity I got was something she deserved more. But Amy, she just couldn't stand seeing me achieve anything. The worst part was watching her spiral into deeper obsession with outdoing me as we got older, instead of growing out of it like our parents hoped. When I told our parents about my interview during our weekly family dinner, they were thrilled. Mom immediately started planning what I should wear, and Dad offered to help me prep for technical questions. That's when Amy dropped her fork and stormed out of the dining room. I should have known right then that something bad was going to happen. The interview was scheduled for Monday morning at 9 a.m., and I had spent weeks preparing for it. I had everything meticulously planned. My navy blue suit was professionally pressed, my portfolio was organized with examples of my best work, and I had done 3 trial runs to the office at different times to account for traffic patterns. I'd even prepared my favorite breakfast of overnight oats and bought a new travel mug for my morning coffee, wanting everything to be perfect. The night before, I laid out everything I needed: my lucky earrings, a graduation gift from my grandmother who always believed in me, a backup pair of stockings just in case, and even a spare phone charger. I went through my presentation one last time, practiced my elevator pitch in the mirror until it felt natural, and finally went to bed early, feeling a mixture of nervousness and excitement about what could be a life-changing opportunity. I had dreamed about working at this company since I was in college. Their innovative projects, commitment to work-life balance, and reputation for promoting from within made them the holy grail of employers in our city. I'd spent the last 4 years building my skills and experience specifically to be a competitive candidate for them. When I got the email inviting me for an interview, I actually screamed so loud my neighbor came to check if I was okay. What I didn't expect was to wake up to my car completely vandalized. Someone had slashed all 4 tires, keyed the sides with deep, angry scratches, and smashed not just 1 but 3 windows. The word failure was scratched into the hood, and there was spray paint all over the white paint job. The sight of my destroyed car made my knees weak. I had just finished paying it off last month after 3 years of careful budgeting and overtime work. I was in complete shock, standing there in my interview suit, watching the morning sun reflect off the shattered glass scattered across the parking lot. This was my only way to get to the interview, and I had just 45 minutes before I needed to leave. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial my phone to call an Uber. I was trying desperately not to have a complete breakdown, but tears were already ruining my carefully applied makeup. 3 years of preparation for this opportunity, and now everything was falling apart because of someone's cruelty. That's when I got a text from Amy: "Hope you make it to your interview on time." I felt sick to my stomach. My own sister had deliberately tried to sabotage my future because she couldn't stand the thought of me succeeding where she had failed. I screenshot the text but didn't respond. I needed to focus on getting to this interview. The Uber driver, a kind-hearted elderly man named George, must have sensed my panic because he drove like a champion through morning traffic. He listened patiently while I tried to fix my makeup, sharing stories about his own daughter's career struggles and ultimate success. When he dropped me off, he refused to take payment, saying, "Only go show them what you're made of, sweetheart." His kindness made me tear up all over again, but this time with gratitude. I made it to the interview with 5 minutes to spare, though I probably looked a bit frazzled. In the elevator, I caught my reflection and nearly had another breakdown. My carefully styled hair was windblown, my eyes were still red from crying, and my stockings had a small run from rushing. But then I remembered something my dad always said: it's not about looking perfect, it's about showing them your strength. Taking a deep breath, I walked into the office with my head held high. The interviewer, a woman named Sarah, not the same Sarah as my cousin, turned out to be incredibly perceptive. She noticed something was off and asked if I was okay. For a moment, I considered making up an excuse, but then I decided to be honest. I briefly explained that my car had been vandalized that morning, but emphasized that I was still focused and excited about the opportunity. Sarah's expression shifted from concern to admiration, and she later told me that my composure under such circumstances actually impressed her more than any rehearsed answer could have. As soon as I got home, I called the police to file a report about my car. I showed them Amy's text and the security camera footage from my apartment complex that clearly showed her damaging my car at 3 a.m. The officers were sympathetic and said they had enough evidence to press charges. Part 2. My sister damaged my car before my dream job interview because she was jealous that I got the call and not her. Now she's demanding I pay for her therapy because our parents cut her off after finding out the truth. I was still processing all of this when my phone started blowing up with messages from Amy. She must have realized I had evidence because suddenly her tone changed completely. She started begging me not to go to the police, saying she'd pay for the damages, that she was just upset and wasn't thinking straight. But I had already filed the report, and honestly, I was done enabling her behavior. Our parents found out what happened later that day. Mom was in tears, and Dad. I've never seen him so angry. Their faces when they watched the security footage broke my heart. Mom kept pausing it and rewinding, as if watching it again would somehow make it not real. Dad, who had always been the calm one, the mediator, actually had to leave the room. When he came back, his eyes were red and his hands were shaking. They've always tried to be understanding with Amy's competitive nature, always made excuses for her behavior, always insisted that she just needed more time to mature. When I was younger, they'd come for me after her outbursts with phrases like "she's your sister, she loves you in her own way, or she'll grow out of it eventually." Even after the science fair incident, they convinced themselves it was just a phase. But this was different. This wasn't a teenage tantrum or a competitive streak gone too far. This was calculated, premeditated destruction. The security footage showed Amy methodically circling my car for almost an hour, taking breaks between acts of vandalism as if savoring each moment of destruction. The timestamp showed she'd arrived at 2:47 a.m. and didn't leave until 3:52 a.m. She'd brought tools, a knife for the tires, a hammer for the windows, even different colors of spray paint. This wasn't impulse, this was planned revenge. They told her she needed professional help and that until she got it, they wouldn't support her financially anymore. It wasn't just about the money, they were cutting off emotional support too. No more weekly dinners, no more shopping trips with Mom, no more Dad fixing things at her apartment. For the first time in her life, Amy was facing real consequences for her actions. This sent Amy into a complete meltdown. She started posting all over social media about how I had ruined her life by reporting her to the police, how our parents were abandoning her when she needed them most, and how this was all my fault for showing off about the interview. Some of our relatives actually started taking her side, saying I should have handled it within the family instead of getting the police involved. To make matters even more complicated, I got the job offer 2 days later. The email came while I was sitting in my temporary rental car, trying to figure out how to afford both the insurance deductible and next month's rent. It was everything I had hoped for: a 6-figure salary that would double my current income, comprehensive benefits including mental health coverage, which I definitely needed now, and even a substantial signing bonus that would cover my car repairs with plenty left over. Under normal circumstances, I would have been jumping up and down, calling everyone I knew, maybe even splurging on an expensive dinner to celebrate. Instead, I sat there in the parking lot, crying tears that I couldn't even tell were from joy or sorrow. I felt guilty for feeling happy about the job. Not because I did anything wrong, I had worked my butt off for this opportunity, but because my success seemed to be the final wedge tearing our family apart. The worst part was that I couldn't even share this moment with my parents without worrying about how they'd handle it with Amy. Mom had always been the one to take us both out for ice cream to celebrate good news, and Dad would always make these terrible dad jokes about his successful daughters. Now they were caught between celebrating with me and worrying about Amy's mental state. That's when Amy hit me with her latest demand. She wants me to pay for her therapy since our parents cut her off. She claims that since my actions led to her losing their support, I'm responsible for helping her get better. She even had the nerve to say that paying for her therapy would be cheaper than pressing charges for the car damage. I don't know what to do. Part of me feels terrible about everything that's happened, but another part is just angry. This was supposed to be one of the happiest moments of my life, and she turned it into a nightmare. The police are moving forward with charges, and my insurance is handling the car repairs, but the family drama just keeps escalating. Update 1. Thank you all for your supportive comments and advice. A lot has happened in the past week, and I wanted to share some updates. First, I started my new job, and it's been amazing. My team is incredibly supportive, and the work is exactly what I wanted to do. They were even understanding when I had to take a half day off for court proceedings. Speaking of court, Amy was charged with vandalism and ordered to pay restitution for the damage to my car. She also got community service and mandatory counseling. During the hearing, she tried to play the victim, crying about how she was just having a mental health crisis and needed help, not punishment. The judge wasn't buying it, especially after seeing the gleeful text she sent me that morning. Our parents attended the hearing but sat on my side of the courtroom. That seemed to hit Amy harder than the actual sentence. She's been posting cryptic quotes about toxic families and betrayal on social media, but most people who know the whole story aren't sympathetic. The most surprising development came from our aunt, Mom's sister, who finally told us about something that happened years ago. Apparently, when Amy was in college, she did something similar to her roommate who got an internship she wanted. The roommate didn't press charges, and our aunt helped cover up the whole thing. She says she regrets not speaking up then because maybe Amy would have gotten help sooner. Our parents are in family therapy now, trying to process everything. They feel guilty for not seeing the signs earlier, but their therapist is helping them understand that Amy's actions are her own responsibility. They're standing firm on their decision to cut off financial support until she gets professional help. Update 2. It's been a month since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected turn. Amy actually started going to therapy, not because I agreed to pay for it, I didn't, but because she finally hit rock bottom. After the court hearing, she lost her job. Apparently, her company found out about the vandalism charges, and since she worked in a position of trust, they terminated her employment. She tried to blame me for this too, but even she seemed to realize how ridiculous that was. With no job and no support from our parents, she had to move out of her expensive apartment. She's now living with our cousin Sarah, who agreed to take her in on the condition that she continues therapy and looks for work. Sarah's always been the most level-headed person in our family, and she's been sending me updates about Amy's progress. Part 3. My sister damaged my car before my dream job interview because she was jealous that I got the call and not her. Now she's demanding I pay for her therapy because our parents cut her off after finding out the truth. According to Sarah, Amy's therapist helped her uncover some pretty deep issues. Apparently, Amy's competitive behavior stems from more than just sibling rivalry. She has severe self-worth issues tied to constantly comparing herself to others, especially me. The therapist diagnosed her with several mental health conditions. Sarah didn't specify which ones out of respect for Amy's privacy, and is working with her on managing them properly. She's finally starting to acknowledge that her actions were wrong and that she needs to change, but it's a difficult process. There have been several breakthrough sessions where Amy broke down completely, finally confronting the damage she's done not just to me but to herself. The therapist is helping her develop coping mechanisms for when she feels triggered by others' success, teaching her to recognize the early signs of her competitive spiral before it turns destructive. Sarah says there are good days and bad days. On good days, Amy talks about wanting to build her own identity separate from being my sister. On bad days, she still struggles with intense jealousy when she sees my company's posts about my project successes on LinkedIn. But at least now she's learning to process these feelings with her therapist instead of acting on them destructively. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also maintaining my distance. The protective order is still in place, and I'm focusing on building my new life. I moved to a safer apartment complex closer to work, made new friends through my job, and I'm finally feeling settled. Our parents are still struggling with everything, but they're handling it better. Mom called me yesterday to apologize for not protecting me more when we were younger. She admitted they should have gotten Amy help years ago instead of trying to manage her behavior themselves. Update 3. 3 months have passed, and I wanted to share what might be my final update on this situation. Life has settled into a new normal, though it's very different from what I expected. Amy completed her community service and has been consistently attending therapy. Through Sarah, she sent me a handwritten letter of apology. It was 12 pages long and detailed every incident where she had tried to compete with or sabotage me, going back to our childhood. Reading it was difficult, but it seemed genuine. Reading it was difficult, each page felt like reopening old wounds. She detailed incidents I had forgotten or suppressed, the time she deleted my college application essays the night before they were due, forcing me to pull an all-nighter rewriting them. The time she'd spread rumors about me cheating on my high school boyfriend because he was more popular than hers. The countless times she'd borrowed and ruined my clothes before important events. But what struck me most were the new revelations, the things I hadn't known about. She confessed to sabotaging several of my job applications over the years by calling companies pretending to be a former employer giving a bad reference. She admitted to creating fake social media accounts to harass my friends, driving several of them away. She even revealed that she'd intentionally crashed her first car into a tree because Dad had bought me a slightly newer model for graduation. The letter showed a level of self-awareness I hadn't thought possible from Amy. She wrote about her therapy journey, about finally understanding that her actions came from a place of profound self-hatred rather than actual hatred of me. She described a moment in therapy when she realized that no amount of sabotaging my success would ever make her feel truly successful herself. The letter ended with her acknowledging that she's not ready to have a relationship with me and that she understands if I never want one. She wrote, "I'm not asking for forgiveness, I haven't earned that right. I'm not even asking for another chance, I've had too many of those already. I just want you to know that I finally see the truth of what I've done, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of having a sister like you." Her therapist apparently helped her write it as part of her recovery process, encouraging her to be completely honest about her actions without expectations of reconciliation. I haven't responded to the letter yet. I appreciate the gesture, but I'm not ready to open that door. My own therapist is helping me work through my feelings about everything. It's hard to realize that while Amy is getting better, our relationship might never be repaired. Our parents are doing better too. They've maintained their boundary with Amy while supporting her recovery from a distance. Mom and Dad come to visit me every other weekend now, and we're building a stronger relationship without Amy's drama overshadowing everything. The best part is that I'm thriving in my new job. I recently led my first major project, and my boss is already talking about a promotion track. Sometimes I still can't believe how different my life is from just a few months ago. I've learned that it's okay to succeed even if it makes others uncomfortable. For years, I tried to downplay my achievements, turning down opportunities or staying quiet about my accomplishments to avoid triggering Amy. I realize now how much of myself I sacrificed trying to manage her emotions. I don't need to dim my light just because someone else might be triggered by it. That's not protecting them, it's enabling their unhealthy behavior while stunting my own growth. Most importantly, I've learned that setting boundaries with family isn't just okay, sometimes it's necessary for everyone's growth. It took me almost destroying myself to understand that love doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being for someone else's comfort. Real love means being honest enough to say this isn't healthy and brave enough to do something about it. The promotion I was nervous about accepting? I took it. The office with a view that I worried would make Amy feel bad? I decorated it exactly how I wanted. The relationship I was hesitant to pursue because the guy was more successful than Amy's ex? We're dating now, and he's absolutely wonderful. For the first time in my life, I'm living without constantly calculating how my choices might affect my sister's mental state. Sometimes I still feel twinges of guilt, especially when Mom mentions how much Amy is struggling. But then I remember the security camera footage of her destroying my car at 3 a.m., the years of sabotage and manipulation, the childhood memories tainted by her constant need to compete and destroy. I remember that I deserve to live my life fully, just as she deserves to get the help she needs to live hers. I don't know if Amy and I will ever have a real sister relationship. Maybe someday, after lots more therapy and time, we can build something new. But it won't be based on me making myself smaller to accommodate her insecurities. I deserve better than that. We both do. To everyone who supported me through this journey, thank you. Your advice helped me stay strong when I was doubting myself. If there's one thing I want others to take from my story, it's that you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, even if that person is family.